that was it. It was much easier,
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually just finished reading a book about introverts. I'm very much not an introvert. My partner is, and she suggested that she asked that I read it to get a better
Well,
understanding of kind of who she is. And I'm all about that. I'm all about reading books that I'm not really interested in and learning stuff that doesn't really pique my interest. I love kind of like cross training my mind, if you will.
yeah,
And man, I learned a ton about how introverts work because it's the exact opposite about how I work. Because I love like being in a mix, and I love like hosting dinner parties and having conversations and meeting new people and all
yeah.
those things. Where she is the opposite, and she needs a little more quiet time and all those things.
Mm.
So it's called Quiet, and it
It's called
was.
Quiet. I just read that book. I was just going to ask you. Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah. I just read it. It's quiet and red, right?
Yeah, it's red and
And
gray, and
red
yeah.
and gray. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
we'll show. I don't know the author, but I'll put it in the show notes if you guys are out there and looking to kind of better understand whether it's in like your workplace or like business relationships or personal relationships, friendships. It's a great way to, if you're an introvert, maybe understand extroverts a bit, or if you're an extrovert, educate yourself on what introverts may go through. But the relationship dynamic was really interesting in what she shared about that couple that was he was I'm assuming similar to you and I in very much outgoing and gregarious like you said, and his
right.
partner was kind of the polar opposite, and like how do you coexist in a relationship, and they were able to, as far as the story goes, they were able to kind of find that middle ground where they both could still be happy. But it sounds like with your situation you got to a point where it was like this just isn't serving either of us,
No, uh-uh.
so it's best that we just, and that's interesting too, through life I find, and I'd love to get your take on this, is like finding those hills you're willing to die on, and those ones you're just like, you know what, I've put as much as I can into this. And this is something I take from you, I've taken from you, and I share all the time with other people, and I've even shared it on my podcast. Is you've said, you may not remember this, but it was in a post whenever ago, and you're speaking to your phone, which I love when you do that, and I encourage you to do it so much more. I think it's so beautiful, and I think you have a gift. And
Thank you.
you said, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, you said something along the lines of, if you haven't given 100% to something, then you have no right
To quit.
to quit. And I just think
Yeah,
that is so beautiful and so true and so real and so raw. And that's how I approach things now. If I don't feel like I've given 100%, then I have no right. And that's something that my mentor, when I was going through my divorce, asked me. He said, do you feel you've given 100% to this? And I
yeah,
said, yeah. And he said, okay, then it's okay. But if you
yeah.
haven't, then shame on you.
Yeah. I think that was something that was resonating with me. There was a lot of people who were just like, "Fuck it" around me, and I'm like, no, that's not how life works. You just can't say "fuck it." Like you got to dive in. And I think one thing that we talk about in therapy, because I go to therapy, and we talk about, there's a lot of people in group therapy that say, well, I don't want to I don't want to I want to avoid my triggers, things that make me upset. And when I question the people that are in therapy with me, I say, well, why do you want to avoid your triggers? Why don't you lean into your triggers and not let them bother you? And it's similar to like going to an AA meeting from the perspective of people say, well, I've been sober for 10 years. And they're like, I feel really good. And I'm very proud of people for that. Like, you see people, like everybody has their addiction, and when they can walk away from alcohol. But I think when you can truly be fixed, it's when you can be in the room with your trigger, and you can actually, have a sip of wine. I mean, of course, there are health reasons where you've drank too much. And if you drink one sip of alcohol, your liver is just going to fucking fall out of your body. But,
Yeah.
but if it's the point where you're like, hey, I had a problem with it. I want to build a better relationship with alcohol, not say, okay, alcohol is the problem. No, alcohol is not the problem. Your relationship with alcohol is the problem. Your relationship with the trigger is the problem. And it's like, well, I'm just going to avoid. Yes, there are. Yeah. Like, so here's an example. Like, if there's a toxic person in your life that you want to avoid because they just cause you harm, good, avoid that. But if it's like, things that you're just going to constantly avoid, triggers that you just want to avoid because you can't handle them, and it's limiting you from the perspective of how you're progressing in your life, then why are you avoiding that trigger?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to say, be around that trigger, and not let it do the damage that it once did, and just look at it dead in the eye. We talk about demons. I talk to my athletes about demons all the time, and I say we're always fighting our demons in our workouts. We're always fighting those thoughts in our head. I always, now I'm on the path to befriending my demons, befriending my trauma, and saying, look, it's here, it's not going anywhere. I'm just not going to be bothered by it anymore.
Yeah, it's almost like embracing. Have you read Relentless by Tim Grover?
I have not. No.
It's kind of top of mind right now with everything that just happened with Kobe, because he's featured in it. Tim Grover was actually Kobe's like mental coach, and he talks about embracing your dark side. Like you need to, like, as much as you don't want to feed that dark wolf too much, because it will become like all you are. But it's very healthy to touch base with that every once in a while. Make sure that you are in control of it. Right? Would you agree? Disagree?
I agree 100%. I think that something very similar to that is that dark place. Is that I know a lot of people are not fans of him. Jordan Peterson, who I'm a big fan of, he talks about the most dangerous men in the world are the ones that can kill, harm, and destroy things, and they don't.
Right.
They have the power to do really, really bad things, and they don't do it. Those are the guys who I want to be around. Those are the guys that have reservation, and they go, look, I can do this, but I'm not going to. It's the guys who have temptation, see those things that they want to do, and they do it, and they say, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to hurt that person or hurt that thing or do that thing and just be reckless in my behavior. No, we all want to do fucked up shit. Anybody that says, oh, I don't want to do that. No, you do want to do it.
Right.
I want to do it. I have we have those fantasies of life, and you just say, is that going to benefit me if I do it? No, I want to do it. I don't do it. And also too, like, I recognize that person lives inside of me, that person who wants to do dark things once in a while, who wants to do bad things once in a while, who thinks about those things. And I say, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for me. And that's what makes me stronger, and that's what gets me through my day, is that I befriend the dark Jason. I can't talk about the things that I talk about without knowing my dark side. A lot of people say, well, how do you know all these things about life? And I say, well, I've lived them. I talk about, all the traumas in my life and the things that have hurt me in my life. And I don't run from them. I lean into them, and I befriend them, and I befriend the Jason that wants to do bad things, and like, from the perspective of, in therapy, we worked on befriending the 12-year-old Jason that's still hurt. There's a 12-year-old inside of me that still wants to go hug his mom and say, Mom, what's wrong? Why don't you love me? Why don't you do this? And I talk to that 12-year-old and I say, Jason, she loves you. She just can't show it. And I literally have conversations with my 12-year-old self in my fucking head. And I say, Jason, she loves you. She just doesn't know how to show it to you. Mm-hmm. She never knew how to show it to you. She was never loved. So she didn't know how to show it to you. And the only thing I can do is calm that 12-year-old Jason down and say, it's okay. Mm-hmm. Number one, it's not your fault that she didn't love you the way she did. And number two, all you can do is just give love and shed light on things that are good in the world. And that's what I try to do with myself now, is I try to just give as much love as I can. A lot of people, and I'm sure you've seen this before too, Brad, because it's like, once you show that weakness, some people will once you are not that weakness, once you are vulnerable, then they see that vulnerability, and some people will step on it, and other people will forgive you for revealing your vulnerability or revealing your trauma,
Yeah, 100%. And then again, I think what you shared there, and again, kind of summarizing, is just like, it's so healthy to touch base with and have conversations with that dark side. But also, man, it's crazy. I say this ad nauseum. We're kind of in an echo chamber here a bit, because I feel like you and I are very much on the same wavelength as far as how we look at things and maybe like compute things that are happening, not to us, but for us, if you will.
Sure.
And it's so healthy to understand, like, we are all just that 12-year-old boy or girl, and like, have empathy for yourself. Like, understand, like, we're all going through something. Like, have empathy for yourself. And if I can, that is my motivation for having you on this podcast today, because some people tuning in right now are probably chefs in Italy or restaurateurs in New York and going like, what is this all about? How does this actually come back to what we usually talk about in this podcast, which is hospitality and restaurants and all those things. But something that I've shared with you briefly that is for lack of a better term, plaguing our industry, and why I wanted to have you on the show is the mental struggles that so many of us, and it's not unique to this industry, we see it all over the place, but there's something about this industry that for some reason fuels anxiety, fuels mental distress, fuels people's drug addictions, all these things, chasing because they truly aren't happy. And I wanted to have you on the show today to, one, share your story and how you deal with whatever mental struggles you may have or have had, and how you have come to adopt the mindset that you have now. Because I'm finding the most prolific work that I do with my clients as a consultant isn't about helping them with labor percentage, isn't about helping them with cost of goods. It's about helping them with their mindset, period.
Right.
The mindset is a differentiator, in my opinion, between a phenomenal business and like a quantum leap incredible business. Is who is leading that ship? What is their mindset? How are they approaching day in and day out? And I think there's some similarities to, say, a busy restaurant in your neighborhood and what you do, because being exposed to CrossFit and that world of fitness for so long, when people step into your business, into your gym, they're needing something from you and your coaches. So you have to be like on all the time. So let's just start there. How do you like re-energize? How do you stay in this state of being so mindful but yet taking time for yourself to, again, have empathy and understand that, hey, like, we all hurt? Where does this all come from? How did you get to where you are today as far as your mindset and how you approach things that are happening for you in life?
So it's kind of cliche to say that, like, I grew up thinking that I was different. Great. Right. Everybody's fucking different. I'm not, I felt, what we discovered in therapy was that I was born a very emotional human being. It's just in my DNA. And I was emotional. I was very, I used to, kindergarten, I got in trouble for taking off my clothes in nap time because I don't like wearing clothes. I still don't like wearing clothes. For some reason, I'm just naked. And all my pictures of my childhood, I'm naked all the time. It had nothing to do with my sexual prowess or anything like that. I just felt free. And I was born an emotional human being, and the development that happened after that was my mother could not support my emotional behavior. I constantly wanted to hug and touch and kiss and love. And my mom was not like that. So she did not support that behavior. Ultimately, fast forward 20 years, started having some issues in my early 20s with, I had some anger issues. I had some coping issues, could not deal with transitions, you name it, just developed I had poor emotional regulation, and was discovered that I had what's called borderline personality disorder. And I don't border on, people hear borderline personality disorder and they say, well, what are you bordering on? I border between an emotional and a personality disorder. I'm in between. I am very impulsive. I control that a lot. And I recognized that once I recognized that I was hurting, I started to recognize that everyone's hurting. Everyone wears a mask, and all we do is look at each other and make sure each other's masks are on straight.
Right.
And I look at you and say, oh, this is your person. That's who you are. And you're like, yes, this is me. And, I would visually look at someone and just go and take their mask off. And behind that mask is a 12-year-old, is the trauma. We do it with clothes, we do it with business, we do it with money, we do it with houses, we do it with cars. We mask so much. We do it with male bravado, acting tough, trying to hide things. And if you show weakness as a male, you're not worthy of being a male if you're weak, or you're soft, or you're kind, or you don't want to fight, or and once I recognized that everyone's hurting, I started to have more patience for people. I started to have more patience for myself. It took a very, very long time to do that. And then all people want is a little bit of support. They want a little bit of, there's a lot of people out there that say, I want to be seen, I want to be heard. And as human beings, we just want to be connected. We just want to feel connected to other human beings. And I feel so fucking lucky. Am I allowed to curse on this show?
Yeah, I'll go all day, man.
Okay. I'm not going to be super profane, but sometimes it just comes out. But I'm super lucky to be here. Like, I don't know why that's not a thing. I don't know why people are not waking up going, I'm so fucking lucky to be here and doing the things that I'm doing. I don't understand why that's not like part of our day where we just go wake up and go, fuck. When people ask me how I'm doing, you know what I say? I woke up.
Right.
And you're like, oh, Jay, stop being so heavy. And I'm like, I'm not fucking being heavy. I'm really fucking thankful that I woke up. Like, I woke up. Like, Kobe Kobe the other day woke up and didn't expect to fucking happen with him to him. I don't think we, I'm sure I'm a heavy thinker. I think, like, I wonder what Kobe was thinking in that helicopter when it went down. And I hate to be so heavy about it, but like, that's what we got to think about. Like, was he like looking at his daughter's eyes going, I fucking love you, and I'm so glad I got to spend that time with you and like be here with you. And like, I think that gratitude. Also, Brad, I'm all over the place. So if you need to bring me back into a thought, bring me back in. If I'm going off topic,
going, dude. Go. Put a long tail on this kite. Keep going.
Like, I just think that, like, if we woke up with gratitude every day, people would be so much happier in their life, because we focus on what we don't have all the fucking time. It's like, I don't have this, I don't have that. He has that, he has this, she has this, she has that, and I don't have that. And it's like, no, you do have it. You're just comparing, which is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy, because you're always saying, well, his kid, got this award and did that, and my kid didn't. And it's like, you're going to constantly be in a state of fucking like worry and doubt and insecurity from that perspective. So I think that, like, once we recognize that we all have problems, we all are struggling, and we start to be thankful for what we have, I think life would be a lot better from the perspective of where we're going as human beings in this world. Because I was in the hospitality industry for a very long time. My parents had a restaurant. I grew up in the restaurant industry. I started washing dishes when I was 12 years old. I waited tables for a very long time, bartended in nightclubs. I've been down that road, and it was a very prosperous road for me. And, when I was younger, and I was like 22, 23, just got out of college and I was bartending, I was like, I'm going to do this forever. I fucking love this, and everybody's like, well, you can't do it forever. And I was like, why not? I want to fucking be a bartender forever. I'm making fucking sick cash. I get to have all day free. I'm fucking stoked about going to the gym during the day. And like, people told me that that's not really what you should be doing with your life. And I was like, kind of, torn by that, because I enjoyed it so much, but then I started getting into more, making fitness more a part of my day and more part of my life. So that ran there. But, like I said before, just touching base on those points I made before, is like, I think if more people just had gratitude for where they're at and where they're going, I think a lot of people would be much happier, and they would have a better sense of self, because I don't think a lot of people have a good sense of self. They have a false sense of self through whatever trauma or whoever told them that they should be this type of person or that type of person. They have a poor sense of self. So they're constantly just struggling with that. And my biggest thing is, my biggest thing with human beings is I want to be as patient. I want to be as kind as I can. And I don't want to judge. I want to observe. And I think that's the highest form of emotional IQ that you can have, is no judgment, just observe.
Yeah, it brings up a good point. It's something I would love to get your input on. Is I have a few people in my life that are very challenged by my outlook. And my outlook is, again, very similar to yours, I think, where I literally wake up and I'm like, oh my God, like, I can breathe and like I can see and I just put food into my body and I wanted to eat that and I ate that. Like this is just it's amazing. It's incredible and I feel gratitude so much throughout my day.
Yeah.
And I have others around me that go, I just can't do that. That's just not who I am. And that challenges me so much because I feel like that is such a story. It's like, no, that's not who you are. It's who you're choosing to be, and
Yeah.
you're allowing that to be your story.
Yeah.
So
we call that a narrative in therapy. You created a narrative, right?
Right. And
right.
it comes up with my partner as well. She just gets so challenged by, you can't always be positive. I'm like, it's not about being positive or negative. It's not about that. It's just about being very aware and real. And what is real is we don't know what it's going to be. So why choose to be in a negative mindset, or why choose to have an outlook that is this way, or why choose to believe because what happened when you were 12 has to be your reality when you're 32?
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you deal with people that come to you and say, "Oh, Jay, like I love how you carry on. I love how you run your business. I love how you think, but I can't do that. That's just not who I am. I can't do it."
Between 3 gyms in 3 different cities, every time I go to one of the gyms and I'm coaching at, I give a little. I can't not just coach. Mm-hmm. I have to say something to people that's going to get them motivated for the day. My big thing is when I was around for a while, it was change your thoughts, change your world. That was a big thing on my wall at the first location that we had. And another one that hit me hard was, when in fitness, we always tell people your life is on the bar, mm-hmm. And I'm always giving like a little positive speech before class or during, or, silently to an athlete during class. And I think that what I got away from, Brad, is I stopped telling people to be positive, because I think motivation is kind of cheap. It's people think that they can motivate themselves through life, and that's not really true. You have to cognitively be aware of what's going on around you and take really difficult steps towards bettering yourself. You can't just get up every day and go, I'm fucking pumped. And it just doesn't work all the time, And it's like, so what I started doing was just started leading by example. I started putting the videos out. Like, I'm busy as a business owner. I'm trying to keep my athleticism. I'm trying to balance, the very small social life that I have. You try to balance everything. It's like you with 2 kids and a wife and your job, you're like trying to balance everything. And every time I go online to, make a video on Instagram, there's a lot of people who are super supportive like you. And then there's a lot of people out there who are like trying to help me. Like I'm hurting.
Right.
Like I'm in like pain. They're like, oh, Jay, read this book. This would be helpful for you, or do this or that. And it's like, I appreciate that. People are, when people want to be helpful, but like at the same time, like I don't want to tell anyone to be positive. I don't want to say, hey, dude, you got to get up and be thankful for your life. All I can do is just be thankful for my life and lead by example, because one of the things that, that I really want to get off the ground is going back to the podcast I started, 8 years ago. And the podcast is going to be called The War Within. And it's the war within up here. And I think if more people started working on themselves and stopped trying to fix other people or other people's problems, we'd be in a much better place, because everyone thinks that, and I did it too. Like I was trying to help people because it made me feel good about helping people. But really, like all I can do is just lead by example and stop telling people what to fucking do. I've got to just do it. I've got to just live that life. And I think that's one of the things that my members appreciate about me, is that I talk the talk and walk the walk. If I say to do something, it's something they know. That's why I can get my members to do things that no other coaches can do, because I'm a coach owner that leads by example. Like I don't put my lifting videos out there so you can see what I lift. There's guys out there that are 100 times stronger than me. Nobody gives a fuck about what I lift. But if they see that I'm lifting and living that life, then they're going to say, well, Jay does that. So when he asks me to do something that's challenging, I'm going to do it. Because it's like your parents saying, hey, don't do that.
It's all good. I got
You
you.
good?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, don't do that. And you're like, well, why?
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah.
You swear all the time. You're like, swearing's wrong, but daddy swears all the time. And it's
Yeah.
so hard. Like, as your kids get older, you're probably going to experience that too. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
And so I just try to lead by example. I try to lead by example from the perspective of anything I tell anyone to, or ask anyone to do, or help them do, they know I'm fucking doing it too.
Mhm.
And I think we all need to just start doing that more and fixing ourselves. I don't know if you're familiar with Baba Ram Dass.
Yes. Yeah.
He just passed away. And he had leveled thinking. And at level 1, it was the ego. At level 10, you are looking at another human being and all you see is you. You don't see that other human being. You see you.
Mhm.
We are all the same. We're all the
Yeah.
same. And so when people don't question me as much anymore about my positivity and my way that I live my life, because I live it. I just live it. I just do it. And the people that want to follow. The people that won't. And I'm not a religious human being. I grew up very religious, but had some bad experiences. But I always say that God cannot help you if you don't want to help yourself. You know?
So true. So true. Yeah. And I have to say, like, again, I've been such a fan, and I feel like such a fan and supporting and everything you shared since, man, years ago. And that's, I think, we align so well in our thoughts and kind of how we carry on throughout our day. And it's such a pleasure to get this opportunity to not only discuss this with you, but also host you on this show. And something I think is really unique about what you're doing with your 3 gyms, and something that is unique with kind of a similarity with what I'm doing with my clients is, and this is just new for me in a mindset, and again, I'd love to have you unpack this a bit, is I had a client who I was working with for 90 days. So we had a 90-day contract. At the start of the contract, their reality was a certain way and they were looking for their reality to change. So they wanted their current reality, their desired reality. And I was the person in between that was going to get them to their desired reality, hypothetically.
Yeah.
And I went in every week and worked with this client, implementing systems, implementing processes, teaching, coaching, all these things. And 60 days in, quietly to myself, I'm like, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. It is the exact same situation. And I started to get frustrated. So I reached out to my coach and I said, help me understand what I'm doing wrong here. Help me understand why we're not seeing results. And he said, basically, pause. He says, since when are results your responsibility? Which,
well, that's tough. That's tough.
Which was very difficult because I'm such, and this is what I learned through that comment and looking back at, man, my business is my life and my life is my business, meaning so much of how I carry on in my personal relationships was showing up in my business as well. Meaning, as he put it, Brad, if you always want to be the one that is helping people get results, you will always find and look for damaged people, and you will always want to be the rescuer. So if you want that to be your business model, then do that. But all you can really do is hold space for people, give them education, coach them, share with them, inspire them, all these things, but the results are completely up to them. And I thought right away back to when I was a CrossFit coach, when I was really in that world, and I was like, yeah, I can't get you a 450 back squat, but I can show you the path that I feel you should go down to get that. But the results of that, the results of you increasing your revenue, the results of you getting a 6-pack or whatever it is, whatever byproduct you're looking at achieving, is ultimately on you. I am just here to help show you, hopefully, a path on how to get there. So with your business model and how you run your gyms, do you feel at any point, or have you felt at any point, hey, it's my responsibility? Because we've all seen those ads on TV. It's like, do this and get 6-pack abs and do this and you'll be the fittest you've ever been in your whole life. And it's a lie, is it not?
I have a real difficult time being in the gym industry. It's not a good industry for me to be in. It's really not. You know why? Because when I got into it, I was like, I'm going to fucking help people. I'm going to fucking change their lives and they're going to get better. And that's it. Because my work ethic was the same. I was like, look what I did. I was 6'5" when I was 13 years old, 167 pounds. I'm now 240 pounds. and that's only an example of the work that I put in to get where I want it to be. And I'm like, okay, everybody else is going to want to do this too. I'm fucking naive as fuck. Right. Like, yeah. And then I got into the gym business. And what happened is that I was helping these people. And I was like, look, this is the path that I took to get where I'm at. Trust me that this is going to get you there. And it's a long, hard road. It's difficult. And people would be here. And I remember when we first opened Brazen One in our warehouse, we had over 220 members. And people were after year, 5 people would quit. After 2 years, 10 more people would quit. After 3 years, like, people just started falling off of CrossFit because they were like, this shit is hard. I don't want, because I was the gym, Christy and I had a gym that we were teaching the snatch, the first, second, and third pull, the clean, the first, second, and third pull. We were doing shit. We were teaching shit, and right. It's like a lot of gyms shied away from teaching movements that were really difficult. And, a lot of gyms have gravitated towards the HIIT training now, where it's like, okay, let's just do pseudo CrossFit. Let's do easy movement. Let's do battle ropes and like shit air squats. Like,
and just bury you in reps.
And just bury you in reps, and you leave sweaty and you're like, oh my God, I had crushed a workout today. No, you fucking did nothing. Like, and so what happened was the reason why it was so bad for me is that people kept leaving because they weren't getting the results they wanted. And I'm like, listen, you just fucking started. When I tell people that come into the gym and it's the first, it's like the first 6 months, and I have a kid down at my Jersey City location. He comes in, never really worked out before in his life. He's on a band for pull-ups. And he said to me about 2 months ago, he goes, yeah, I want to start working on muscle ups. You know the deal, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I said, bud, we gotta get you good at burpees, chin-ups, and body weight movement, air squats before you can even touch the fucking rings. I don't even want you touching the rings. Yeah. And he was like, I see other people doing this. I want that. And I'm like, this sense of entitlement is really just mind-blowing to me. So when people don't get what they want, they don't get those results that they want from me, mm-hmm. and they quit the gym, Brad, it fucking crushes my soul, because I'm like, just stay here with me. Right. I tell people the first year of your CrossFit career, you're getting the snot sucked out of your nose. You're a newborn baby. Mm-hmm. That's all you're doing. Unless you were a college athlete, Division I soccer player who has body awareness like none other, then you're going to transition. The athletes that come in after like a month, they have a muscle up and they're like, they're just athletes. Yeah. Well, most of the world isn't like that. So when people leave my gym because of the results that they're not getting, because of the lack of work that they don't want to fucking do, you know who I blame? Me. I blame myself. It's so fucking hard because let's go back again. I have fears of abandonment. My abandonment is it's awful. I manage it. I work really hard at it to recognize that, like, when people leave, it's not my fault, because when people leave my gym, they're not leaving my gym. They're leaving my life, and it's like, I had a kid text me yesterday. He said, Jay, I just want to thank you for the 5 years you've given me in the gym. I'm going to go somewhere else. And I was like, totally fine. Texting him back. And I was like, good luck with everything. Just shoot me an email, the logistics. Yeah. But then I have other people who are like leave cards at the gym for me. Then they're like, you changed my fucking life. Like, this gym's the best thing that ever happened to me. Once in a while I get somebody that just is like not happy that we did burpees twice this week. And they're like, fuck this. Like, swear to God, it's really trivial shit. And like, I feel really like shit. But like, as the older I get, I'm like getting better at it. I'm recognizing that like all I can do is be a source of inspiration, a source of education, a source, a really a beautiful platform of intelligence. When I coach, it's very detailed. I'm very involved in what I'm doing. And I think a lot of people always say, like, we know Brazen, we know Black House, that's a coaching gym. We coach, but it's really fucking hard for me when people blame me for their lack of results, when I'm like, dude, I'm giving you everything I fucking can. I'm sorry that you eat like shit when you leave here and you don't want to fucking roll out after class and do all the things necessary to get you better. But I'm giving you everything I can do to get you better. And when you leave, I'm like, fuck, it's hard.
So but then why is it hard? Going back to what we shared earlier about, if you've given 100%, then it's got to be okay, no? So is that the ego? What is that for you? Where
probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I've gotten better at it. This is something that I've struggled with since the gym's open. But now I've in the past, I'd say, Brad, probably the past 6 months, maybe since last summer, I started to go, this is not my fucking fault, dude. This is not my fault. I felt like a failure that like people were leaving the gym. It happens. There's attrition, one of my gyms in Hoboken, people leave all the time because they move, because the city is just a transient city. But I don't really feel bad about that. Some people, when they leave and they have to move, they're like fucking sad that they have to leave the gym.
Right.
So I recognize, all I do is just take into consideration all the people that I'm helping. And I go, I fucking have people that have been with me for 13 years. A lot of people have been with me for a really long fucking time. And I'm really happy to have that. I just look at that. I just go, that's what I'm thankful for. Right. You got to go. You got to leave my gym because you don't like the programming this week, or we didn't do bench press last week. Get the fuck out of here. Goodbye now. You know what I'm saying? It's like your wife coming home and complaining about you every day. And you're like, well, what are you still doing here? Yeah. That's how I feel. So I look at it like, so your question was, how do I deal with it? I'm fucking thankful for the people that love me. I'm thankful for the people that still come here and trust me and say, this is it for me. I don't want to go anywhere else, And
are you not, just to challenge you a bit, are you not then there thankful for those people, even at least like trying it out and like giving you a shot? Be like, that's cool, man. This is just not, it doesn't obviously, it's like a relationship. You go on a couple dates with a girl and you're like, yeah, it was fun, but we're not going to do this forever. So it's not that, and I don't know how you feel, but I personally now am at a point where a level of awareness where I feel like it's okay. It's not good or it's bad. It just is. So if one of my clients decides like, I don't want to work with you anymore, I'm not like, what the hell, get the hell out of here. I'm like, that's cool. It just like, obviously it ran its course. I wasn't that person for you. You're not that person for me. This is how it is supposed to be, because there can be no other way. And the moment I start to think that I heard this the other day, the moment I start to think that someone should do something a certain way is just as insane as me going, the sun should be over there. Like, yeah. Who gives me the right to think that this brain is the one that ultimately gets to decide, like, hey, you know what? I actually don't like that blue shirt Jay's wearing. Why didn't he wear a red shirt today? It's
right.
Like, it has nothing to do with me. I have no control over that. And that's something as well that I'm learning more and more about, is like, Brad, pause. Like, this is nothing to do with you, really. It's just this person is making a choice and you have no power over that. All you can do, to your point, is give so much. And I think that is the challenging piece, is when we feel like we've given so much of us to something, we go, how can you not choose me? How can you not choose my offering?
Yeah.
But that's not up to us.
Yeah.
And I feel
so
like go ahead. But no, you go ahead.
No. You want to finish that thought?
I was going to say that's what I see a lot in our industry in hospitality. Maybe you saw in your time in it as well, but especially in kitchens and front of house, where managers or owners feel like they have this ownership, if you will, over their staff, over their members of their community. And when someone decides, you know what, Jay, I'm going to go and open my own CrossFit gym, they're like, what? Like, how dare you? Whereas I think that higher level is like, dude, that is amazing. I think that's the coolest thing. And if you need anything from me at all from the day you open your door, please let me know, because I'd love to be there for you. It's so cool that I've inspired you enough that you want to go and open up your own gym or open up your own kitchen. Like that to me is a level of like, wow, I expected this person to be bitter, but they're supporting me every step of the way.
I've had 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 people since I've leave and open their own gyms. But I'm totally fine with that. But the problem is that they did it in a way that was not nice,
but not nice in whose lens?
From my lens, from the perspective that they were doing it the whole time. And then the day before they leave, they're like, I'm opening my own gym. And then like a week later, they're like already operating. Like, you could have told me sooner. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not like emailed my fucking members and told them that you can come to my gym for $99 a month if you leave brazen. So that kind of sucks.
That for me is, again, that's the beauty. It's like, if you can find yourself, and this is where when, like, hey, if you start messing with the food on my table, then we've got some issues. But I feel like that higher level is the level of like, look, I'm just here. If you guys choose me, amazing. If you choose someone else at $99, that's cool. I'm not offering $99. Mine's $5.99 a month. So if you want to mess with $99 a month, do that. But what I'm doing and what I'm offering, I know for certain is better than that. And that's not coming from a place of ego. It's not coming from anywhere. It's coming from, I know I'm going to put more into my business, my clients, all of that than anyone else in the industry. I don't care if it's Joe that used to work out here. I just think, again, there's that. It's that knee-jerk reaction to be like, screw that person. How could they do that to me? But again, it's like,
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with initially feeling that way. I think it's the prolonged feeling of like hating them. I don't.
True.
It's that initial blow where you're like, yeah, that's the moment where people say, well, I'm not going to be positive all the time. Those are the moments where I'm like, I'm fucked up about it, but I'm going to get over it quickly. And I've seen those people who, and that's all it is. Nothing wrong with being upset. It's how long are you going to be upset for? And to what degree,
yes.
And it's like,
that's sorry to interrupt. That to me is a great articulation of the reality of where I would like to see most people in their mindsets of like,
sure,
sit with it, but let's not talk about it a week from now.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let's get through it. And, I've seen those people out, like example, like 2 weeks ago, I saw a dude that left me about 5 years ago and opened his own place. And about 15 members followed him, but 10 of them came back to me about after a year, they came back.
Right.
And they, and I said, I always kept an open door policy and I kept my mouth shut and never spoke ill of anyone. I won't do that. I'm not like that. And people actually said, they're like, Jay, are you upset about it? I'm like, I am. They're like, well, it doesn't seem like you are. And I go, I'm just not showing it. I'm just not running around the room going, fuck him and fuck this. And I hate him. That's not how I want. But what you said to your point before is that anything, this is something that I grew up with from a very, very long time ago, is anything that anyone has anything negative to say about another human being, it's a direct reflection of how they feel about themselves.
Dude, that's one of my favorite posts that you put up like months ago, a year ago. I just, every time I find myself going down that path or hear others doing that, I'm just like, man, you're reflecting of what's going on with you.
Yeah, and that's that Baba Ram Dass level that I talked to you about. It's like, the things that you have to just look at another human being and just accept them for who they are. You don't have to keep them in your life and say, I'm going to let this person keep taking advantage of me and hurting me. But, you have to look at that other person and go, they're hurting. I always tell people when I'm having conversations in the gym or wherever, I say, stop calling her a bitch and actually wonder why she's acting that way. Instead of being like, oh, so-and-so's a bitch, or he's a dickhead. You ever see him? He's a dick. And it's like, he might be acting like one, but let's wonder why he is. Let's ask him instead of chippering behind his back, because when even any of my friends who are very near and dear to me know that I don't talk shit. We can vent about something, but if we're going to sit at a dinner table and talk shit, you are not at my dinner table. You can leave this dinner table. I don't want to hate you, but you can leave this dinner table. Right. And I feel like so many people don't recognize that we're all the fucking same. We're all struggling. Your struggle is no worse. Well, people are like, oh, well, my pain is worse. I went through worse. And it's like, no, you didn't. It's the same fucking thing, and it's like, stop comparing pains and hurts and lives and trauma. We all have it. So I think that if we just start doing that, looking at other people and saying, you're a reflection of me, observing other people, observing why they are the way they are, not taking it personally. Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, one of the best books I've ever read in my life. Don't take anything personally, and you have to understand that people can be like, they leave my gym. It's not me. It's difficult for me because of my abandonment issues. Like, I don't like people leaving my life. The people who are in my life, I don't covet them, but I love them very much and I don't want them to leave. But if someone leaves my gym, I just go, hey, this was not the right way. And I really feel proud of myself the way I handled that text message yesterday. When that kid texted me that, and he was like, I'm leaving. And I said, no problem. I said, just shoot me an email confirming your cancellation. I've known him for 5 years, so he had my number. And we weren't close at all by any stretch of the imagination. But he just decided that he wanted to go elsewhere. And I was really fine with it because I went to the gym that night. The gym was packed. There were people that were super pumped, super happy to be there. And I was like, I'm fucking pumped for you guys. I'm happy that you're here. I'm thankful for the people that I have in my life. You want to leave my life? It's all good. Yeah.
What I struggle at times to, and this is what I do every single day, is dealing with people in hospitality. And I would love to get your definition, because you have a form of it every single day in your business. People walk into your space, one of your multiple spaces, that you or your coaches are being hospitable. How do you yourself define hospitality?
I think there was something. I'm just getting my phone charger.
Oh,
I
okay.
think there was something that you said before was, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said it, leaving space for people.
Yeah, like holding space for people.
Yeah. Hold on
Yeah.
one second here.
Yeah, do your thing. Technical timeout.
Okay. Good. Are we still good to go?
Yeah, man, we're good. Yep.
All right. So my definition of hospitality in the gym business is recognizing that not everyone places a tremendous amount of emphasis on fitness in their life. And I have to be super fucking patient with those people. And I have to say to those people, you know, I grew up with fitness since my mom was a personal trainer growing up, and I was in fitness since I was going to the YMCA when I was 9 years old, you know, with my mom when she was teaching Reebok step, you know.
Right.
And I'm certified Reebok step instructor. In case anybody needs to hire me, I'm certified Reebok step. Is being patient with those people, being kind and understanding that the gym is an intimidating place. The people are intimidating. CrossFit's intimidating. You walk into a gym and these fuckers are, you know, people are taking their shirts off before the even clock starts, you know, and you got these jacked dudes who are 6-packs and fucking everybody's half naked. I actually enjoy seeing women more clothed than I ever have in my life because they're always fucking half naked in front of me. When they come in dressed up, I'm like, wow, you actually fucking look hot. I've seen you half naked most of my life.
Yeah.
You have more clothing on. You look beautiful.
Yeah.
Is that environment can be intimidating. So I'm super fucking patient with people. And I try to push people in smaller increments so that they don't get frustrated with themselves. And I've always done that, but that's just something that I've always done is those small increments, being patient with them, getting them to understand that it's baby steps and I'm pushing them in baby steps. I'm leading them in baby steps. And also to the community aspect of CrossFit, I think is where Greg Glassman really nailed it on the head. The workouts are phenomenal. Everybody's been doing high intensity training for a while. CrossFit did not invent that. I mean, that's been going on for a long time. It's the way that they presented it in a community fashion. And a lot of people join gyms because they see the community. And I want to provide a community that's patient, kind, caring, understanding, and I want them to look forward to coming here. I don't want them to think, I always want them to think that they're gonna be sore and fatigued and tired. I always want them to feel that way.
Right.
You know, but I also want them to come there and say, this is gonna be the best part of my day because Jay is patient with me. I think one of the things that people say about me when I coach is that I'm very attentive. I look you directly in the eye when I'm talking to you. I'm not distracted by anything, which is very easily for me to do, to be distracted. I am intently listening to people. When I correct them, I stay with them. I make sure that they're moving correctly, and look at them dead in the eye. And a lot of things I say is, after I tell someone, I say, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to, a lot of coaches will say something to somebody and then they walk away and they don't verify. Like, I just make sure that, like, are you understanding what I'm saying? I want you to know that I value your progression here. I value that you have, I always tell my athletes too, I say, guys, especially the 5:30 in the morning guys, they're fucking crazy cats, right? They're going in doing their 1 rep max at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And they have 3 kids and a full-time job. And I always tell them how proud I am of them. But I always say, I know that you're fully functioning adults, you're fully grown adults, but there's nothing wrong with telling another adult that you're proud of them. You know, and I think when people hear that from me, because I think a lot of people look up to me in my gym, and when they say that when they hear that I'm proud of them, they feel really good about themselves. And we lift people up from an emotional and spiritual perspective, so people feel confident about who they are. You know, I think a lot of people come into the gym not having a good sense of self. Maybe they're coming to the gym because they beat their bodies up for super long time and they're kind of frustrated. And I think just providing I don't like the word safe space because I think it's kind of softened in the world right now. But I think just providing an environment where people can be themselves, not be judged, you know, be around, you know, me who's, you know, I come in the gym and, you know, some days I'm lifting heavy and, you know, I try to make them feel like we're on the same level. Yeah, I might be snatching 275, but we're on the same level. Mm-hmm. Here, I'm the same as you. You know, it's the same struggle. And I think just providing a platform of those things that I just talked about, the patience, the camaraderie, the community. Being kind to people is super important, like, some gyms out there are super hard. They're fucking like hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's intimidating for people, especially when you see a guy like me. It's like, I don't want to fucking go to that gym. That guy's all tatted up and huge. But then they find out that I'm loving and kind and caring and patient,
Just a regular dude. Something that you just said a minute ago really resonated with me, and it's been something that's been really top of mind for me. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but it sounds like you practice this in your coaching and with your community. It is not your clients or your community's responsibility to learn how you coach. It is your responsibility as a leader, as a coach, to coach how they learn.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I think that's such a small mental change, but such an important one. So when you reiterate to your athletes, when you say, hey, does that make sense? That's you checking with them to go, am I communicating with you in a way that works for you? Because the way you communicate with me, Brad, might be different than the way you communicate with Jenny or whoever. And that, for me, is the sign of a true leader, is one that is able to, at the drop of a hat, completely stay rigid on that message, but be able to deliver it in a way that's conducive to that person that's standing in front of them at that moment in time.
I think that's something that you're very smart, Brad. You looked into, and those are the things I think, the patience, the kindness, the caring, the warm, welcoming environment is really important. But the second component you nailed, which was the adaptation process that all coaches must endure if they want to be a successful coach, is learning how people learn. Mm-hmm. And not everyone learns the same way. Some people I go up to and I can put my hand around the back of someone's neck during barbell club, my buddy Kyle, and go, dude, the fuck is going on? Get your shit together. He's a Division I football player. He's tough. He can handle that. Like he likes to be talked to like that. Right. But can I go up to my girl Stacy and talk to that? No, I can't do that. I gotta walk up to her, put my hand on her back, use those tactical cues that I use, and say, look, it's okay. You're not going to PR today. It's okay. And just communicate that with her and speak in a different way. And I think that's one of the things that I learned, and you nailed it right in the head, is just there's different learning platforms. Some people are audio. Some people learn visually. Some people learn by hearing or watching or seeing or feeling. And everybody learns differently. And I think that's the key component in adapting as a coach. And I think that if more coaches recognize that, they would have a tremendous amount of success in what they're doing instead of just coaching everybody the same way.
Yeah, it's my way or the highway kind of thing.
Yeah,
like you said, there's gyms that are like that, and there's kitchens that are like that, where the chef is like, male or female, doesn't matter. They're like, this is how we're doing it. If you don't like it, get the hell out. Whereas others are like, you know what? I want this to be a space where it maybe not safe, but where it's inclusive, and we welcome creativity and diversity, and I want to be a leader like that. And if you don't, that's cool as well. But I want to mess with people that are like that, where they're able to bring together, like if we were able to bring all listeners right now to one of your classes and then just take a 30,000 foot view, I hate that cliche, but take a 30,000 foot view of what you're doing. How difficult is it really, like fundamentally, to be able to speak to a lawyer, a Div 1 athlete, a ballerina, a mother of 5, a guy who just lost his job in an hour, make them feel like they matter, make them feel like they're truly doing something better for themselves? Like, that is a true skill. So whether you're a head chef or a restaurateur or a CrossFit coach or whatever, if you're able to do that, I sit here right now and I applaud you, because that is a skill that should be celebrated and one that should be looked at as one of the utmost attributes of the human nature, is to be able to do that with so many different styles and walks of life. So kudos to you and your team if you're able to do that, as I'm sure you are.
Yeah, I think that I was like that in the beginning of my fitness career, because I was so fixated on the path that I had set out for people. And I was like, look, this path got me here. It's going to get you there too. And then I recognized, shit, my path cannot get you the same results. So I had to adapt to that. And one of the things that we talk about in our business is that we say, they say, Jay, where do you find your coaches? And I haven't taken any coaches in the past 11 years that have come from another gym with experience. What I say is I hire good human beings and turn them into great coaches.
Love it.
Because I don't care if you have a CSCS or a degree in kinesiology, or you fucking, have done you have all the letters after your name, right? It's like that thing. Yeah. I don't care what you are. If you can't communicate with Stacy about why she's not squatting well, no one gives a fuck what you know about powerlifting or snatching, Yeah. And I get a lot of people that, a lot of coaches that understand that. When I used to, because we were one of the first affiliates to open up in the country, and a lot of people came to us and saying, holy shit, what are you guys doing? This is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. And everybody saw the potential that we had to grow as a gym. And they were like, Jay and Christy are really good at what they do. They coach well. But, and people would say, oh, you're going to see this guy, Jay, at the gym, but don't be intimidated. He's really chill. He's really like a teddy bear,
Yeah.
And people see me and they're like, I'm this huge dude. And they're like, oh, he's just a teddy bear, but don't be intimidated by him.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that I wanted to have. I corrected that as I got through owning the gym. I corrected that about myself. And I can admit that and say, I used to be that guy who used to be like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. And I recognized that if I was not going to adapt, and as cliche as it is, I'm going to die.
Totally.
It's not the fittest that will survive. It's the ones most easily adaptable to change that are going to survive.
100%. I think that's a great spot to cap it off, as we're just coming up on an hour. Before I officially 59 minutes and 30 seconds right now, dude.
Dude, I'm having such a good time.
Flow state, my friend. We'll definitely do it again. But before I let you go officially, if people are listening and they want to reach out, they like what you're talking about, or they are either in your area or travel through your area and want to engage, how best to reach you, whether personally or through the business?
Obviously social media is a huge platform. At Mindful Maverick, I'm on Instagram at Mindful Maverick. My gym is Brazen, BRAZEN Athletics, or Black House Strong. I love when people reach out to me and say, hey, I'm struggling with this or that. And I kind of give them a little direction to where they're headed with mindset or whatever. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional coach. I'm just a human being that has had a fucked up life. And I want other people to recognize that you can get out of that shit. You can climb out of that fucking hole. It's just really fucking hard. But if you have people who have been there before and that are willing to help you, you're going to fucking get out.
I love it, man. Thank you so much, Jay, for, again, holding space for me and the listeners. I look forward to doing this again, both on and offline with you. I haven't said this, had the chance to say this to you in person as we talk over the internet, but I truly appreciate everything that you do. And although we are literally thousands of miles away, I respect you, and I will do whatever I can to support you and your power circle around you, because I'm such a fan of what you're doing and how you do it. So keep doing what you do, because it truly matters, and you're inspiring people, I'm assuming, all over the world. So thank you again for making time for me in the podcast, and I wish you nothing but an amazing, amazing, unstoppable rest of your day.
The feeling is mutual, Brad, and I think this was a long time coming, and I'm super thankful to have this with you. It really brightened my day to be able to talk to you. So you had a huge impact on my day. So
awesome, man. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for tuning in as you do week after week. If it wasn't for you guys listening, this show would not exist, as you know. And you know what to do. Until next time, guys. Be good and do good. That's it. We did it, man.
All right, brother.